Rick, very excited to have you. And the first question that I want to ask you today, what are the three key business requirements for the fenestration industry?
Frank, I'm glad to be here. When you think of the fenestration, the three things that come to mind for me are the ability to configure products. It's a surprisingly complex industry, so you have to be able to fill the opening in the house. And for whatever reason, over the years, there was never any standard definition of an opening. So you've got to figure out how to be able to configure and fit into the opening of the house. You have to have a strong distribution network. So when you think about, this is something that has to get to the house. It's not something that people come and pick up. And so you've got to be able to get to where the customers are, and glass products is not the easiest thing to be able to transport. And then the last piece of it is a strong service arm, whether that's through contractors or whether that's your own service, because the installation component is really critical. Vast majority of the problems with windows are based on how they're installed. So those are the three key things from a business perspective in the fenestration.
And then we talked a little bit about the Paradigm acquisitions by Builders FirstSource, right? So, yeah. And please tell me, what are your three main concerns here?
Yeah, I mean, it caught me off guard, but if I was still the CIO at Pella, it would be prioritization and focus. Are they giving me the focus on the system requirements? Is the prioritization of the the enhancements in the long-term direction, are they consistent with my priorizations? The second piece, really is their overall strategy. What is WTS Paradigm going to be? What does Builders FirstSource want that company to be? And the last thing that's in the back of my mind is, does Builders FirstSource want to be in the software vendor space? That's not a space they've ever been in. So it's always in the back of the mind, is that their long-term plan, or is WTS Paradigm really become a tool for them to enhance their growth?
And one important question for every customer is probably, what should they do to protect their CPQ investment from your point of view?
I mean, number one is to really become involved in the process. So if you've outsourced or were dependent on WTS Paradigm, I would ensure that you've got internal resources that understand that are working. Then I'd really start exploring the options. I mean, and the options really go parallel with paying attention to, what are the actions, what developments and what are they doing, but in parallel, look for other potential vendors, other ways that you could satisfy the configuration need, because it's going to take a while to make that change. So I'd be running those or doing those two things in parallel.
And I just want to suggest all our listeners to also listen to our full interview on the CPQ podcast, where we talk a little bit more about the fenestration industry, the Paradigm acquisition by Builders FirstSource. So thank you very much, Rick, for making time for this short video today.
Yes, thank you, Frank.